Power company gives us a bigger transformer. We can actually throw some chips now. The mill is ready to run. We're taking these scrubby oak logs. We're gonna make some 4x6s because we need the bunks to set the logs on. So on bandsaw mills, you see the big metal beds, right, that the logs are lifted up onto. That's pretty nice because they're level and they're real strong being steel. But the swing blade doesn't need that. The log never needs to be rotated like in a bandsaw. The blade does all the work, starts at the top left and works its way down to the bottom right with the log never moving, hopefully, the entire time. So really all you need is a good solid foundation for the log to sit on. So right here, this log is just sitting on a 6x6 pressure treated that I have, but it's a little low. The lowest this mill, as it's currently set up, can reach is 10 inches off the ground. So we have to have the lowest part of the log at least 10 inches off the ground. So a 6x6 doesn't quite do it, so we're gonna have to raise it up a little bit and get it to about that 10 to 12 inch mark. So a couple of 4x6s built like cribbing, stacked like cribbing is our goal here. So I think what we're aiming for is a bunch of 5-footers and a few 8-footers to build the deck where the logs are going to sit, where they're going to roll across the little 4x6 bridge. We're going to sit on 4x6 cribbing, as you'll see in future videos. Now, it doesn't take much to hold these logs stationary. You can see I'm just having some felling wedges in each side of this log here as they sit on 6x6s, and the weight of the log holds it really well. The more you cut down into the log, the lighter the log gets, obviously, and so the less stable it is the last few cuts. I'm pretty relieved at this moment, watching the mill run back and forth. It's been a long time that it's been down, and having the electrical problems with this undersized transformer has just been so frustrating. So everything's working well. I actually forgot why we cut this log right in the middle at 5 feet wide like that, and then I realized it's in the next shot coming up. We needed taller bunks. So to make our permanent 6x6 cribbing bunks, we needed our temporary bunks to be taller than what those 6x6s were. Remember, the logs have to be at least 10 inches off the ground to be able to mill the entirety of them. I think forks on a tractor skid steer are surprisingly tricky when things are not perfectly perpendicular to you. Well, that's tricky to say. This is a great example. I was coming in at an angle. She just got a little caught up in the
This guy's about to go jousting.
front hatch there. Danny's laughing at me. And it's a little spooky when you got a 800-pound log that's getting close to 12 feet in the air. Come back and say hi to your forehead. That'd be real fun. Let's just take a second to admire how awesome this Kubota is. I love it. Thank you to everyone involved in my life for letting me buy it. My wife. Insert boot ad. Perfect. What do you guys think of these Oregon bars? They're so reasonably priced, I can't help but buy them. I know that the steel ultralights are amazing because they're so light, but my goodness, these Oregons are just such good value. What are your thoughts, and what do you guys recommend? I'd like to have a little diversity in my life, you know what I mean? When it comes to my chainsaw bars, that is. Now, it's a true art, cutting through a log like this without touching the gravel or dirt underneath. Yeah, give it a little kick, Josh. I'm not editing this out because I'm proud of it. I did it. Now, I appreciate your patience with me as I run this mill. I mean, this thing is something I'm pretty familiar with, but I'm a little rusty at this point. I'm trying to remember the best way to attack a log here. And you can tell here, this is a good test cut. I don't have tons of hours on this mill, as this has really been 18 months, I'd say, of just troubleshooting before it hopefully is in pretty consistent operation here. Yeah, we'll get faster at this. This thing's capable of chewing through hundreds of board feet an hour. I am definitely the limiting factor in this whole ordeal. Now, the specs maybe you're curious of is the maximum cut on this circle saw is 10 inches. All right, a little bit of vibration there. So you can do a 10 by 10 without a double cut here. I'll explain what double cuts are later on. Even watching this footage back, I can tell just how heavy my blade is in the back. It has a little bit of a ring to the blade as it comes out, and I've actually adjusted it and it's a lot quieter. So this is not a true running saw right now. It's close, but it gets a lot smoother when you get a perfectly balanced blade into the wood. So being able to rip a big timber out of a log with the swing blade is really, really simple. You can almost do 4 cuts. You top it, and then you get your edge, you vertical cut it, and then really all you would do, if this log was big enough when we had supports, which we don't have supports to do this, but when you get the bigger wedges on each side, you can come in, do, especially if you're doing 8s, you can do up to 10. And you do it in a couple passes to save the stress on the blade. But for here, you could come 8 inches across, and then you could do a vertical cut of 8 inches, and the vertical will hold it, even if you're coming horizontally, so it won't pinch the blade. And then you're vertical on the way back, and then you have an 8 by 8 and 4 cuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is pretty sweet. That's why I love this mill. We're gonna get 4 by 6s out of this, so we're gonna do one of them will kind of have a pith, but we'll come halfway down right now. We'll go at the 4. We'll come all the way across, so we'll actually have a 4 by 8, which is lovely. But then we're gonna come back on the 6, so we'll have a 4 by 6, and then we'll just keep this 2 by 4. We'll have a 2 by 4, a 2 by 4, 4 by 6, 4 by 6, and then that log will be dead ski. That'd be rock. Ow. This mill is actually kind of hard to record, to get the camera in the right spot to be able to see the beauty of it working. The carriage is always in the way. The sawdust shoots to the driver's side of the mill, so you don't really want to put a camera over there too much. That opaque flap always blocks the money shot of the blade coming through. It's so annoying. But there she blows, baby. That's a beautiful 4 by 6. Now, my filming of this entire setup and everything is secondary to actually setting it up. So I apologize. I want to get better. I really don't prioritize it. But I still have done it. Most of the time. When there's huge jumps in the project where I'm like, didn't we do something between this clip and this clip? And it's like, oh yeah, there was 3 days of things you did and you never turned the camera on. Well, I'll get better, I promise. I'm throwing my tape measure up all the time because I do not trust the indicators on the mill right now. The vertical indicator dial and then the horizontal dial, that big yellow one that you see there. They're just not exact, and I need to figure that out. I know there's ways to remedy it, and I'll get it figured out. But there's a little bit of corrosion in the cable, the horizontal indicator, and then the vertical one is actually the sprocket runs on the chain that goes up and down with the carriage, and that's not right now. That's not right now. I'll leave that in. I have tripod problems here.
I can't film this thing run.
Every time I try to get a good money shot, it seems like something happens. The mill breaks down, the tripod aims at the sky, we get on the wrong side of the log, it goes out of focus. It's ridiculous. But I think this is a pretty good shot right here. So that's kind of the skeleton of the log when you're done. There's a little bit of material, but it's not worth chasing if you don't have good holding power, which We don't at this point. That's what we're trying to build. Now this is a completely disgusting saw log. It is a firewood log for sure. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. And somehow I filmed none of it. Camera went off. But yeah, we got a 6x6 out of it. On to the next one. All right, let's work down this log. We cleared the top. I'm just taking little chunks. As I said, just be patient with me as I get used to this mill again. All right, here's a good example of getting the edge of the log all set up. You go horizontally down and vertically back. Now, if I actually knew what I was doing, I would just go straight across into my first timber, but I drop another 4 inches and take the rest of the wane off this log. This is just a mistake. I mean, I am embarrassed watching this. I'm taking a lot of holding weight off that would keep this log stable in the bunks by taking this wane off the edge right now. I should just go across the top. So then I have to go back up 4 inches and check the tape measure because I trust nothing. We're going 6 inches in, 4x6. Right above the heart of the tree. That's a good beam right there. Man, I can just hear it. I'm so back heavy. It's really, really annoying to listen to. Man, it's so satisfying when it sits down like that. It slides right out. This gets a little risky here. When you get that last lower cut, there's not a lot of weight. After you cut it, pressing down into the bunks, and there's a lot of vertical weight on that passenger side. So that's where your bunk is really having to do its job right here, holding it tight, that log from not moving. And I think we do an okay job here for pretty redneck bunks. Well, I think that's all for now. Tune back and we'll keep milling stuff. Show you what's up as we progress more and more into the abyss.